Welcome to the Capital News. I am your host, Alex Kreitis. Thanks for joining me today. I hope everyone enjoyed their weekend. Today is February 25th, 2019. Not a whole bunch of excitement over the weekend. I know there was the Oscars over the weekend, but I didn't spend 1 second watching it. I don't know if you did. You'd have to tell me about it, if it was any good or not. There was some drama, obviously, to the run-up. I believe there was not a host this year, which is sort of part of the tradition of the Oscars. You have a very flamboyant personality who cracks jokes at everything, and it sort of makes it a lot more enjoyable. I don't know how they did, but I know they have been tanking in the ratings over the past several years. I honestly couldn't care less. It's sort of just a bunch of actors and actresses who want to get dressed up to applaud each other, pat each other on the back, which is fine. Everybody does it, but it's losing its lure with me. It just doesn't excite me like it used to. I used to love watching Billy Crystal or Steve Martin up there. Ellen DeGeneres did a very good job hosting when she did a few years ago. And of course there was drama this year because I believe it was comedian Kevin Hart tweeted something years ago that was quote-unquote offensive to somebody, some group. One of the many boxes that I talk about on this program all the time on the left. He offended somebody, and so they cut him and were never able to replace it. There's no forgiveness with these people. There's no second chances. You offend somebody in one of those boxes, that's it. You're done. He's a comedian. This is what they do. Get over it. Okay. I don't want to rant and rave on the Oscars because I didn't watch it and I really don't care. But I just wanted to bring that up because it's always something. And again, you can't go further left than Hollywood. Well, you can, I guess, if you go to Vermont and you see Crazy Bernie, but that's on the wings. They're on the same wavelength. A couple stories I do want to touch on today relate to President Trump and Kim Jong-Un. They're meeting this week. And then there was some news with Brexit over the weekend and it's also continuing today. So I'd like to at least cover those two things. So starting with President Trump and Kim Jong-Un, this is an article out of USA Today. Let me read some of this here for you. Hours before flying to Vietnam for another face-to-face meeting with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, President Donald Trump raised the possibility that the reclusive state could reap economic benefits from working with the United States on denuclearization. Trump has maintained punishing economic sanctions on North Korea, even as he has touted his very good relationship with Kim. But the president has also held out what he describes as the economic benefits for North Korea if it chooses to denuclearize. He says, I think he'll have a country that will set a lot of records for speed in terms of an economy. We want denuclearization. Kim has shown little sign he intends to take concrete steps towards denuclearization. Members of Trump's administration, including Dan Coats, the director of national intelligence, have said Kim views his nuclear arsenal as critical for survival. Trump, who leaves for Vietnam Monday afternoon, has lowered expectations for the summit's success, saying he is in no rush for North Korean denuclearization, as long as the country continues to hold off on testing of nuclear weapons and missiles. North Korea last tested a missile in November, an ICBM that experts said could reach the United States. He said Monday he expected a tremendous summit with the North Korean leader. Trump departs later on Monday for Hanoi to participate in 2 days of meetings with Kim, a sequel to their historic first meeting last June in Singapore. The president has previously said he would not lift sanctions unless the country agrees to denuclearization. Kim and other North Korean officials, however, said they want the United States to first lift at least some of the sanctions that are crippling their economy. That standoff is likely to dominate the proceedings in Vietnam. So here you have it, folks. We have another meeting between these two world leaders. This is another historic meeting. Of course, the left, the anti-Trumpers, those who suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, again, that's a real condition, don't know what this meeting is about. It serves no purpose. What could possibly come of it? These are just two strong men, two dictators getting together to have a cup of coffee. Nothing the president can do in their minds is ever right or good. Period. End of story. It does not matter. We have had poor relations with the North Koreans since the end of the Korean War, which technically is still ongoing. Will it come to an end officially? Hopefully soon. Hopefully that's what some of these meetings lead up to. It's been 60 years since the end of the Korean War. No president has gotten this far in such a short time. Remember, candidate Trump, and then, of course, when he became President Trump, was going to be bombastic. Literally, he was going to push buttons. He was going to blow the world up several times over. He couldn't be trusted, we were told, with the nuclear arsenal, with the nuclear codes. Didn't have the temperament. Could not be trusted. The exact opposite has taken place. President Trump wants to speak with world leaders, no matter where they're from. That's how you do it. It's easy to talk to your allies. It's easy to get on a plane and go talk to the Germans or the British or the Italians or the Canadians. It's not so easy to get on a plane and go speak to the North Korean leader. And of course, even if he blurts the word Russia, that's the end of him, because obviously he is a stooge for Vladimir Putin, which of course is not the case, which we are all going to find out here very shortly, officially from the Mueller report, which will be coming soon. So stay tuned for that. But don't worry, Adam Schiff, Jerry Nadler, Elijah Cummings, Impeach 45, Maxine Waters, they will continue to investigate. For what? God only knows. They're going to go into his personal life. They're going to go into his business finances. It's going to be very interesting to see what type of spin they put on the Mueller report. Of course, it's going to be, well, he didn't have enough time. He didn't have enough resources. He didn't have enough leeway to go into all of these other areas that we are going to get to the bottom of. Now, of course, you had Adam Schiff on the Sunday morning programs going out and saying, Attorney General Bill Barr better release everything. Everything. Whatever Bob Mueller says needs to be released to the American public. Now, what happens if it's classified information? Does that get told to the American people? What about grand jury information? Could that be in the report? Does that get disclosed to the American people? I mean, they're always going to hang their hat on something to say, oh, well, you know, that wasn't let go, that wasn't disclosed. The American people were left in the dark. This is President Trump and his administration not wanting the American people to know the truth. Of course, in this instance, nothing could be further from the truth, because the Democrats don't want the truth to come out, that there is no Trump-Russia collusion. Did Russia mess and meddle with our elections? Probably. Probably. So did probably another 100 countries. But where's that investigation? Does the United States meddle in other people's countries? Oh, I mean, where's the hypocrisy? Where is it? We were in Afghanistan, still there. Iraq, Libya. We got Venezuela. Senator Marco Rubio might become El Presidente, if I had my way, of Venezuela. So, I mean, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. We can do it, but nobody else can. Okay. Getting back to this Trump-Kim North Korea thing. There was a statement in that article from Dan Coates, the Director of National Intelligence. And again, just let me read this for you. He said, Kim views his nuclear arsenal as critical for survival. Of course he does. Of course he does. He's surrounded by countries that have nuclear weapons. The Chinese have them. The Indians have them. The Pakistanis have them. We have them. We're not very close and friendly with the North Koreans, or at least we haven't been for 60 years. Of course, he wants nuclear weapons. Afghanistan didn't and does not have nuclear weapons. Iraq didn't and does not have nuclear weapons. Libya doesn't have them. Venezuela doesn't have them. You're starting to see a trend here. You're starting to see a pattern. The United States gets involved with countries that don't have nuclear weapons. Are we fighting Russia? No. Are we fighting the Chinese? We may have a trade war with them right now, but it's not a physical war. Are we fighting the Indians or the Pakistanis? No. Why? Because they have nuclear weapons. It's a good deterrent. Called MAD. Remember that? MAD, mutually assured destruction. You push your buttons, I'm going to push my buttons. I push mine, you're going to push yours. And then, poof, everybody's done. It is crazy. But in that insanity, it works to a degree. I'm not saying that the rest of the world should have nuclear weapons. I'm just saying it's a weak argument to say that, well, you know, Kim Jong-Un wants nuclear weapons. It's critical to his survival. Of course it's critical to his survival. Unless he has some sort of treaty with another country that has nuclear weapons that's going to come to their aid, he needs something. Or at least is going to feel that he needs something. And just like it's the president's job in this country, President Trump's job, to protect the people of this country, whatever you think of Kim Jong-un, it is his job as the leader of that country to protect the people of his country. Now, of course, he doesn't do a good job of that. People are starving. They're, poorly nourished. The list go on and on. But if talks can lead to something better, if talks can truly lead to an ending of the war formally, if they can lead to denuclearization, and if in turn that can lead to economic growth, where the United States, Japan, and other Western powers can really help develop North Korea, that would be a great thing. It would be a great thing. Who could deny that? Of course, the anti-Trumpers will come out and say, well, why didn't he do it in his first 6 months when he was president? Tell me that one. Never good enough, so just ignore them. It's like a bully. It's like the idiot in class. Just ignore them. Don't give them the attention that they're craving. Just ignore them. It's not worth your time of day. It will be a beautiful thing if President Trump and Kim Jong-un can come to an agreement that really leads to the economic development of North Korea. I don't know if any of you have ever seen the picture at night, satellite images of North and South Korea. And you can see the stark difference between the two countries. You have South Korea, a vibrant economy that's lit up all over the country. And then just to the north, it's completely pitch black. Nothing going on. And that's a sad story. There's differences between the height and weight of North Koreans and South Koreans for the same reason. The economic divergence is stark. But it doesn't have to be. And I think we truly have a leader in the South Korean president who I don't necessarily know would want to go for reunification, but I bet somewhere down the line that is an ultimate goal. That is an ultimate goal. Reunification. That's not going to happen overnight, but it can happen, and that would be a very good outcome for the world in the direction of peace and prosperity, which is what this program is all about. Peace, prosperity, free market capitalism, helping people, educating people, seeking the truth, speaking the truth, and getting things done. Getting things done. And we finally have a president, despite his flaws and weaknesses and some of the things that he says and does, and I disagree with a lot because I speak it here. He does do a lot. He says a lot, but he does a lot. And for that, I give him credit, and I give him a lot of credit with this. In regards to North Korea, I wish him and Kim Jong-un a lot of luck, and hopefully something very good comes out of this. Because it would be good for the United States of America, it would be good for the North Korean people, it would be good for the world. It wouldn't be good for the Democrats, but I really don't care about them. Now, moving on, a across the pond to our friends in the UK. We have some more drama, of course, going on. Here is an article from the BBC. Labour prepared to back new Brexit referendum. Are you kidding me? Another referendum. Labour has said it is prepared to back another EU referendum to prevent a damaging Tory Brexit. Jeremy Corbyn, who is the leader of the Labour Party, has told Labour MPs are members of Parliament, the party will move to back another vote if their own proposed Brexit deal is rejected on Wednesday. Labour's Emily Thornberry said if the parliamentary process ended with a choice of no deal or the PM's deal, the public should decide. Theresa May is under growing pressure to delay the 29 March Brexit date. Labour have not yet made clear what their proposed referendum would be on, but a party briefing paper to MPs says that any referendum would need to have a credible leave option and remain. The Prime Minister, who will update MPs on the negotiations on Tuesday, has insisted the UK can still leave next month as planned. The UK voted to leave the EU in a referendum in June of 2016, but the withdrawal deal Mrs. May negotiated with the EU has to be agreed by MPs, and it suffered a huge defeat by them last month. Mrs. May has ruled out a meaningful vote on her Brexit deal this week, saying one would be held by March 12th. But she will give MPs the chance to have their say on how the next step for Brexit takes place. This is getting ridiculous, but it's highly predictable because this is what continues to happen. Everybody wants to kick the can further down the road. We talk about this all the time with nearly every issue that we discuss on this program. There was supposed to be a vote this week in the British Parliament. There is not. It's delayed until at least the 12th of March, which is only a couple weeks away from the 29 March deadline. Things are getting very close to the 11th hour. Prime Minister May knows she does not have a deal that will win support in the British Parliament, so she has to delay it in the hopes that she can wrangle something together over the next couple weeks that she had just bought herself. What's going to happen? It's anybody's guess at this point, but it is shocking. It is shocking that the Labour Party wants to move to a second referendum. That completely defeats the purpose of a referendum. The referendum was given in 2016. Do you want to remain in the European Union or do you want to leave? Well, the British people spoke and they said they wanted to leave. Now, was it by a strong majority? No, it wasn't. It was very close. It was very close, but hey, everybody wants to tout democracy. Well, there you have it. The people spoke. They wanted to leave. Now, was a plan put together prior as to everything that was going to take place for the withdrawal from the EU? No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But people wanted to leave. That's what they voted for. And that is what the politicians are supposed to give the people. Now you have this. We are a month away from potentially having a no-deal Brexit, which of course we're told is economic Armageddon. It's the end of the world. What's going to happen? You're going to be in a deep recession. It's going to be years and years. The Bank of England's going to have to print more money. You're going to have to lower interest rates. They're going to fail. The European Union's going to fail. It's just going to be dominoes one after the other. It's not going to be easy, but I don't think it's going to be economic Armageddon either. So, in essence, what these politicians are saying to the British people are, you didn't know what you were saying, you didn't know what you were doing, you didn't know what you were voting on, insulting their intelligence and ability to make that decision, and saying, go back and vote again. Go back and vote again. If that's what it comes to. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but now we know that this is a possibility, that this could happen within a very short period of time. Now, you had further negotiations this weekend between Prime Minister May and EU bureaucrats. Nothing came of it, which is why she's delaying the vote till 12 March. She's also delaying it because there's almost no hope. I mean, she's a political mover. She knows what she's doing. You don't become prime minister, president, or anything without knowing how to dance around some things. That's what she's doing. She's buying herself time. She needs to get a consensus, not only in her party, which is fractured, but in Labour. She wants a deal. Does she want to live with a no-deal Brexit? I don't know. I don't know if that's what she wants or if she's just using that for leverage. But I do know that the EU bureaucrats were hoping for an extension altogether. So instead of it being March 29th, they wanted some sort of extension of that deadline. Why? Because that's what they do. They have no solution. They have no plan. They have no deal. So let's just kick it down the road further and further and further. Is somebody going to step up and be a leader and do something? I mean, can somebody do something in the United States of America? Can somebody do something in the UK and all over the place? I mean, it's like the Twilight Zone. It's like Groundhog's Day. Over and over. It's the same story. Over and over and over again. Eventually, we're going to come to a reality, and a decision is going to have to be made on a whole host of things. Obviously, right now we're talking about Brexit. My guess, my educated guess, is there will be a Brexit. They will leave. Will it be on March 29th? That's getting a lot more contested. I would still say yes. I would still say yes. By March 29th, there will be a Brexit. Is there going to be a deal or no deal? That becomes the tougher question. A second referendum is an insult to the people who voted, saying we don't like how you voted, so we're going to have you vote again until we get our way. That is the antithesis of democracy or a republic. That's what communist regimes do. That's what dictators would have their people do. But of course, in those regimes, they count all the votes. And remember, that's what Stalin said. It doesn't matter who votes. It matters who counts the votes. You like that? That's not how it's supposed to be. And then lastly, just to follow up on some things that we discussed last week, President Emmanuel Macron, his support, at least in the polls, seems to be increasing, while that of the Yellow Vests seems to be waning. This was the 15th consecutive weekend that there were Yellow Vest protests, but the numbers are dwindling rather significantly. And a lot of people, at least according to the polls, if we want to believe these, are saying that they are losing their support for the Yellow Vest, probably because it's becoming a lot more violent. And then, of course, you have all of the things in there with anti-Semitism and anti-immigration and racism and all this other stuff that gets thrown in there. And you can ask a serious question as to whether or not that's legitimate, or if that's the media and the president of France throwing that out there and trying to put down that type of opposition. So there's a lot of unknowns, but we do know that obviously it was the 15th consecutive weekend. There's still a lot of people in France who are upset with the higher cost of living and this growing inequality between the people in the upper privileged political class. So that'll wrap everything up for today. Thanks for joining me, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. It was a pleasure having you. We'll catch you next time. This is the Capital News. I am Alex Koritis. Godspeed.